Good evening and welcome back to SevereMMA. We have an action-packed weekend of MMA ahead of us, with UFC 248 taking place in Las Vegas' T-Mobile Arena. However, before the action goes down there, our attention is drawn to Cage Warriors. The first show of 2020 takes place this weekend as Jack Cartwright headlines versus Manuel Bilic for the bantamweight title. I was lucky enough to catch up with Fight Academy Ireland's Paul Hughes ahead of his bout against Youri Panada. We discussed his training methods, his previous injuries, how he's feeling ahead of this fight, and a whole lot more. So without further ado, here's the interview. So you're a few days out from your fight against Youri Panada on Cage Warriors Manchester, the first show of the year. How are you feeling, I suppose? How's it going? How's the camp been?
Absolutely fantastic, mate. As we were just talking about, I had another opponent change, but everything's great, man. I've known about this date since the start of the year, so this is the first time in my pro career that I've had a date that actually has came, that without pullouts or having to fight 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, I've actually got a date. So I've had a solid 8 or 9 weeks where it's been amazing, to be honest, to be able to have that set date. I'm peaking perfectly. It's the first chance I've had of this, and actually peaking at the right time for a date, so I'm feeling good.
Yeah, so obviously your injury struggles were kind of well documented. You had your pro debut, and then it was 2 years until your next fight. 2019 saw you fight 3 times, so a nice bit of activity there. Has it been weird for you, I suppose, kind of having that date, as you said, like it's kind of the first time where you've had a date in mind, and obviously there's been a change of opponent here, but has it been a bit different, kind of like, or strange, kind of going into a camp?
At this stage, I'm very used to the change in the opponent. I was very gutted that my original guy pulled out, a guy from Manchester. I was looking forward to going into that enemy territory against a really tough opponent as well, moving up a weight class again. I was really looking forward to that. But mate, it's been really, really interesting to have this time. I've actually, to see my body peaking. I've actually had the chance of having like a proper strength block, a proper conditioning block for the first time in my pro career, and I've honestly never felt fitter. It's crazy. My last week of training there, in my hardest sessions, I couldn't get tired, and my recovery time was just, I'd never seen myself like this. And last week I started to taper off a little bit, waking up like 45 minutes before my alarm. Like my body is just ready to go. It feels amazing. It really, really does.
You talked about kind of having like a strength block there. It's noticeable, or at least to me anyway. It seems that you've been kind of putting on a bit of muscle over the last couple of years. The last time we saw you compete at featherweight was against Stephen O'Neill back in your second fight. So I mean, are we ever going to see Paul Hughes at 145 again?
If I could get someone to accept the fight against me at 145, then I'd be fighting there. You know what I mean? I basically was told before Manchester, it was, look, no featherweights will take the fight. If you want to get a fight, you're going to have to move up. And I says, fucking right. You know what I mean? I'm used to it. But this will be my last one moving up. I mean, my coaches won't let me fight up a weight anymore. I am a featherweight fighter. I will be the Cage Warriors featherweight champion. So it's time for me to start getting fights at featherweight. This hasn't been in my control. Do you know what I mean? This is obviously what I wanted, but nobody will accept a fight against me at featherweight, and I don't blame them, because I'm moving up 2 weight classes and battering people. You know what I mean? I'm moving up to welterweight almost. Then I'm fighting at lightweight and battering these guys, finishing them in the first round. So I wouldn't want to fight a featherweight Paul Hughes.
Yeah, and so how the hand injuries have kind of, they plagued the first 2 years of your career. How are you doing right now? Are you fully healthy? Are there any kind of niggling injuries or anything like that?
Absolutely injury free, mate. I'm obsessed with recovery. I'm absolutely obsessed with it, and my mobility routine is carried out every single day. It's one of the main reasons why I'm able to push the limits so hard, is because I take it so serious. And my body is just a machine right now. As I said about having the full camp, like I've had this set date for 8 to 9 weeks now. That's never happened to me yet, and I can just plan everything around this date. So it's great, man. No injuries at all. Body, everything's perfect.
Yeah, and you've been documenting that the kind of the work you've been doing with that mobility coach. I suppose, could you tell us a little bit about that, and has that was that prompted from the injuries that you had? Is this a case of you just kind of taking care of your body and kind of preventing injury prevention? Is that kind of what you're looking for here?
I've always been very, very serious about every discipline of the game. I don't feel like I've really lacked, but I think what this mobility, it's incredibly specific. It's like doing 5 yoga classes a week, but taking out all the excess bullshit and doing the exact perfect movement that my body needs. You know what I mean? My body's been analyzed, where I'm strong, where I'm weak. Everything's very, very specific to what I should be doing. And 45 minutes a day for my whole body to lubricate all the joints, to increase the range of motion, is so essential. And that's why I feel like I'm hitting a new level this camp, is because I've been able to push it twice as hard, because I'm recovering twice as hard. And that's why, as I keep mentioning, like this, having a date in mind, I've been able to push myself to the limit. As I talked about in a video I posted in one of the episodes of my vlog for this fight, like, you don't know your limit until you push it. And I've been pushing that limit this camp. And man, am I in shape. Man, am I in shape. I've been doing 5-minute rounds sparring for the last 6 to 7 weeks with a fresh man coming in at me every round. I am in shape. I could do 5-5s this weekend, no problem.
And is it easier, not easier, but is it more possible for you to push yourself further when you don't have to make kind of the extra 5 pounds of a cut? Or I suppose, like, how difficult of a cut is 145 to you? I know you're about, what, 5'9", so
Not difficult at all. Not difficult at all, to be honest. If I was fighting at featherweight on the Saturday, I'd be weighing the exact same now. Likewise, if I was fighting at welterweight on Saturday, I have a performance weight, and I just my performance weight's around 73 kg. And regardless if you say I'm fighting that Polish fella again at welterweight, I was still walking into the cage at 73 kg. So if I was fighting featherweight, I'd be weighing 73 at the start of this week and just cutting from there, which isn't too insane of a cut. It's actually quite easy.
so it's really just less of a water cut on fight week, really.
Yeah, basically, I just got to cut less water on Friday. Like, cage warriors have late weigh-ins, so we don't weigh in at 3 p.m. So if it was featherweight, the only difference I'd be doing is waking up a little bit, or not even waking up a little bit earlier, spending an extra hour or two in the bath. I mean, that's fine to me.
And so this is Cage Warriors' first show of 2020. So obviously we're in kind of March already. Would you have liked to have had a fight sooner than now, or does this kind of line up perfectly, as you say, kind of being able to put a full camp into it? Or
So this actually lined up perfectly, because I was actually very sick over Christmas for the period of about 3 weeks, which has never really happened with me before. It was such a shock to me and such a shock to my system. I actually thought that this date would be too early for me, because 3 weeks with zero training really is a big setback. And not only that, coming back into training and making sure I don't get sick again was quite a process. But like, I had that 8 weeks, and everything's just come together at the right time, and I've never had this feeling before. It's really interesting.
so you're peaking really then.
Just peaking. I've never had this. It's crazy. I literally can't get tired. Like, I done my 2 hardest sessions of the week last week. Tuesday, really hard sprints in the morning, where I was literally doing extra at the end to I couldn't get tired. I couldn't believe it. And sparring that night, 5-5s again, and came out, took a few breaths, and was ready to go again. Like, I've never felt. I always working hard, but I've never felt this peak in this fitness before. Which it's I can't wait to get in the cage on Saturday night, because I know I can just go hard for 3-5s at a pace that no featherweight can match. So I'm looking forward to showing that.
Yeah, and so obviously I want to talk to you about the upcoming fight. So you're taking on a guy, Youri Panada, from France. I was there. I was trying to kind of find some footage and take a look at him earlier on, and there's not really that much out on him. I think there's a fight I found on YouTube from, I think it's 4 years ago now. So, like, have you been able to prep for him, or have you seen much footage on him, or do you know much about him?
So all that's online. So this guy's obviously smart. Before he's accepted this fight, he's got all of his stuff taken down. Smart dude. But look, it doesn't matter. He will be exposed on Saturday night. I seen in the only fight I can find online, he seemed to be predominantly wrestling, but that was, as you say, 4 years ago. So I'm basically going in here blind. You know what I mean? But I'm okay with that. He's worrying about me. I'm not worried about him.
Yeah, and so I saw, it was a random video, kind of prediction one I saw earlier on, and they were talking about how, like, he is predominantly a grappler and you be more of a striker. But when we look at your career, you kind of came in, your pro debut, you put on a phenomenal performance, and really just kind of lit the place up on the feet. And again, your second fight, it was a very dominant display. You got the TKO. But then we look at you now, and you've kind of, like, I was talking to Sean Sheen on the podcast the other night, and I said that it's almost like a touch of the Nathaniel Woods, where when he went into the UFC, he came in as a striker, and then he turned grappler and started submitting guys, and the same with yourself. You kind of came in to the sport as this really good striker, and since then the last 2 fights have been rear naked choke. So, like when you look at your game now compared to say 2-3 years ago, have you developed your grappling considerably, or is it just a case that we are only starting to see it now?
You're only able to see it now. That's it, mate. I've always been well-rounded. There's no holes in my game. I'll tell you one thing, everything's covered. And I just have that killer instinct where whatever the opportunity presents itself in the fight, I'm taking it, whether that's stand-up if I drop him, or as you've seen in fights where I've dropped people, I've been on them, composed, calm, and just picking them off, or whether that be on the ground, elbowing their fucking face through the canvas. It doesn't matter. I have that killer instinct that you can't teach. So my skills are there. I know that on my worst day, I can perform with them skills. But luckily, I have that killer instinct. So whenever I hurt someone, whatever's there, if their neck's there, I'll take it. If the KO is there, I'll take it.
So would there be no game plan kind of come into there, or is it just a case of when you're coming in against a guy that there's not much footage on, is it more just kind of trusting your own game and concentrating on your own skill set and adjusting and adapting to kind of what he presents to you? Or
yeah, exactly. It's come like cool and calm, composed, and just adapting to the environment and just see what he's doing. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna come out. I'll be a little bit more on the back foot at the start, I'd imagine, because I want to sort of suss this guy out, and I'm in no rush in there. You know what I mean? If I have to go rounds, I will. But as I say, I have that killer instinct. If I touch him up and it's time to finish, I'll take it.
Paul, we were talking a little bit before we started recording about kind of the plan for after and kind of what you're looking to do as far as like pushing towards the featherweight division and things like that. When you look at 2020, obviously you had a long layoff from 2017 to 2019. You fought 3 times, as I mentioned earlier on, and in 2019. What do you see as your path in 2020? Like a perfect 2020 for you? How would you lay it out?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say last year I would have had 7 or 8 fights, if possible. You have no idea the amount of fights that I accepted last year that fell through. It was over 15 fights last year. Like, I came back from that 2 years and I wanted 7 to 8 fights that year, and I'm not lying. And I could have had 7 to 8 fights that year. Like, I was in shape the entire time, ready to go, accepting these fights on a week notice. But in terms of this year, this year's almost perfectly laid out. We've got Manchester this week. 10 weeks later, we got Belfast, and then another 12 weeks after that, we got the second Belfast show. So there's 3 already in the first half, 3/4 of the year. And then if Cage Warriors will let me, I'll definitely take another fight at the end of the year, and that'll be me 7-0.
And so do you have anyone in mind, I suppose, when you're looking at the division? Can we expect a call out perhaps on Saturday night?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to drop some names Saturday night, 100%. I've got a big chip on my shoulder coming in Saturday night, and it's something personal to me that I'm going to keep in that dark bit of my mind, and I'm going to come out there with a fucking vengeance. And you bet your ass I'm getting on the mic after that fight and calling out some fighters and the whole featherweight division in general, really, because nobody's taking a fight against me, and from now on there's no more moving up. I'm getting that belt. They can all get it. Look, Andy, you've got me all worked up here. I'm just after that exercise. I was sitting here.
You're supposed to be relaxing. It's fight week. You're chilling out.
And now look at you, getting me all hyped up.
You'll have to go for another yoga class thereafter. Well, there you have it. A big thanks to Paul Hughes for joining us this week. Paul was actually getting kicked out of a Cafe Nero as the interview was ending there, and we had some technical glitches, but I think we got the job done. There's a lot to look forward to on this card. All the action goes down in UFC Fight Pass. As far as Irish interests go, we've also got James Sheen making his return after that epic war with Ian Gary last year. We also have adopted Irish son James Webb, the former middleweight champion, taking on Mick Stanton in what will sure to be probably a #1 contender fight there. Unfortunately, Aaron Maguire's fight was cancelled as a result of his opponent pulling out. However, I've been speaking to Cage Warriors and they are looking to get Aaron matched up relatively soon, so some good news off the back of some bad news there. But yeah, enjoy the action, and plenty to look forward to from an Irish MMA perspective. Again, you can catch it all on UFC Fight Pass. Subscribe down below if you can. There's plenty more coming on the Severe YouTube channel. Additionally, we have the Patreon page, the podcast, and if you just head over to SevereMMA.com, there's plenty of articles and all sorts of content there for you. So thanks for watching and appreciate it. Have a good day. Enjoy the fights.